Are you gonna give me orders?
Welcome back to TSL 5, guys. We're getting into a PvP between PartinG and MaNa. After seeing some surprising 3-0s for our first two series of the day, Solar got 3-0'd by DRG, and then we just saw Drogo get 3-0'd by Sue. And now we head into what MaNa, I asked him for one word to describe PvP. He said circus, and he said the whole matchup is a circus, crossover or not, and he's facing the biggest circus I don't know what, I want to say clown, but not in a bad way, in PartinG. Like, this is going to be hopefully a really weird, wacky PvP, and I am super looking forward to it. So we're about ready to go, but just waiting to get into Eternal Empire for the first map. Yeah,
nice. I'd say nice big macro map to get us started, and that can absolutely have an effect in PvP. But more times, often that doesn't happen. More often it doesn't happen than it does. Obviously, those proxies are still going to be a big thing. Don't forget, we've got a TLO's true or false for this one as well. So MaNa versus PartinG, every map will feature the third production building, so like the third gateway, Robo, Stargate, etc., outside of that player's main base.
I mean,
on at least one side. I think so too, because I feel like there's at least one game where they both don't proxy. Basically, it's saying there's going to be a proxy every game, and I don't think that's a wild prediction. In a best of 5, I think it's a little crazy. But hey, TLO was right earlier, and I was wrong, so maybe I should be quiet.
Yeah, Wardy. TLO's like, he knows everything, man.
Yeah.
Don't combat him.
PvP expert.
Yeah, that too. That's why we had him against AlphaStar, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so we were heading into Eternal Empire to start off game number 1. Usually a nice macro map, but guys, it's PvP. In the top right, as the blue Protoss, we do have PartinG.
And in the bottom left-hand side, our red Protoss player from TeamLiquid is MaNa.
Oh boy. I was going to say that might be a bold prediction usually, and I think you're right. Like, a best of 5, there's got to be one, But, I mean, between these two, in this matchup, between these two guys, probably trying to abuse each other being off server, right? Because they're both on their preference server. Like, I could absolutely see something being proxied every single time. Even just a gateway later on for quicker reinforcements or something. I could see it.
MaNa really has liked the proxy robo as well. He's been a big fan of that. So that's definitely one thing to watch out for, definitely from MaNa's point of view, I think. As we do see the probe coming across the bottom side, PartinG will go to the top. I mean, it is obviously that combination of A, you're scouting, and B, you're also maybe proxying. As PartinG's going to leave his probe in a bit of a funky place. That almost feels like if he actually is going to build a pylon here, then he might just build like an off-position Stargate, or he's really just trying to hide the pylon for that mind game. I mean, he moves the probe away. Looks like it might come back. It's not too far. Okay, keeps moving away. So it looks like no actual proxy here from either player just yet.
Yep, just a mind game for now. By the way, production, can I please just point out that you gave PartinG the blue color? Can I just please? Admins.
What is that bad?
Because MaNa's TeamLiquid.
I see. Yeah, you know what? That's funny as well, because I'm such a big... I always go on about how I love it when like the color matches the team and stuff. So yeah. God damn it.
I'm just kidding, guys.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but seriously though, like, we need to do that thing where like the talent, the beautiful best talent. Everyone always asks when we're called talent. It's totally like a technical thing, guys. But we are the most talented, so like, get over it. But like, we just need to yell more at the production, because that's what divas do, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be divas, right? Okay. Cool. So we'll continue doing that. Next time we'll make sure the TeamLiquid player is blue. EV means cracking a whip, all right? So the probe here, it scouts the pylon, and that is still good news, even though it wasn't actually used for anything, because it means it's not used for anything, right? Like, seeing nothing is still information. And they both are actually going to go into Nexus and even into just like further Sentry production, like really setting up for a longer game here. And I feel like maybe TLO is already going to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, when they've both expanded like this, it pretty much is a guarantee then there's not going to be a proxy at this stage, right? Like, you're just going to go into typically a Robo or so in your main base, or a Twilight Council. This time it's going to be the Twilight Council in the main base from both. TLO's wrong, ZG. Can we officially say it now?
We can, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Every map will feature the third. So not a third, but like...
Yeah. Incredible. Oh, wait. Third production building. Twilight's not a production building.
Wow. Okay, so we're still on a technicality right now.
On a technicality, but I feel like it's an eventuality as well. That is, I don't see there being the third gateway proxy here, right? PartinG's building a forge. MaNa doesn't have a pylon on the map, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling.
By the way, guys, if you didn't actually get involved in the true or false prediction contest today, you could do it next week. So
Yeah, there will be more.
be on the lookout. Yeah. Be on the lookout.
You can win a Secret Labs chair.
Yeah. They're pretty comfy.
They're very comfy. I've been sitting in mine all week already.
Well, I was most impressed with the it's gonna sound weird, guys, but the
Are you gonna say the
packaging? The
packaging
packaging in general was cool. They give you like a little folder that makes you feel like a secret agent because it's Secret Labs.
I like the instructions on how to put the chair together and like the whole like on the big sheet that came in.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah, I felt like a real boss. I was like, okay, I'm looking at this. I'm like, I put this bit here, and yeah, it was better than just like turning page to page in a little booklet. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. So it would be awesome to get one for free, wouldn't it? So enter into these contests. But back on the PvP, surprisingly, I'm not going to call it a lame PvP because it just action will start soon enough with Blink to Blink. Someone's got to go out on the map and try and control the game. But a surprisingly passive PvP between the two players that I would say are usually aggressive. Like Showtime used to be the stereotypical guy to go to say, oh, if he's playing PvP, he might play macro. But even that's not true anymore. That guy cheeses in PvP just like anyone else does. So for these two, I don't know, man. That's and it is funny as well that they not only are not really attacking into each other, but they also both went Blink, which certainly has come back into PvP, but you don't always see both of them do it. Usually it's like a Robo to Blink, a Robo to Robo.
Can you believe this? TLO is claiming that MaNa's Robo in the natural counts as not being in the main.
Wow.
I can't believe
it.
We've been done dirty.
Yeah, that's
actually incredible because it is in the natural as well.
Oh my god. I bet he like got his family together and they thought through like all the technicalities they could like get away with.
I'm disgusted.
He wrote these sentences.
I can't believe it.
Oh my god. They didn't put it on a third. No, hold on. When was the Robo built though? It was before or after?
No, it was before the extra gates for MaNa. I'm pretty sure.
You're right. It was for MaNa.
TLO's always right. Can't believe it.
I can't either.
We've been done.
This whole day has been full of can't believes it. 3-0 to 3-0, and then now a third base for both players with nothing.
Yeah.
Like they don't even try to attack each other. Where's the Blink micro?
Where's the PvP?
Seriously.
Did they forget they're playing the matchup? They're both just gonna macro up and just keep on macro, and then we're gonna get that very weird state of PvP you don't often see, which is 3 base on 3 base, and it's a little bit scary because, especially on a map like Eternal, where their bases are easy to hold, you can absolutely get to a point, I think, where you kind of have this setup basically where there's like, you just can't attack each other. And so you kind of end up going in towards this later game, and we'll maybe talk about about that if we kind of start getting there. But now I guess we just kind of build up into Mortal Archon. Maybe we see some disruptors at some point. MaNa's hallucinating a disruptor just to try and play some games.
I thought it might be a mistake, but it also might be mind games. I'm not sure. PartinG actually finally gets an observer that was on this third Nexus too, which I was getting a little tilted by. The only thing that I would say is like there is an important difference, and that's PartinG got a faster Nexus, right? Unless I swap the colors internally because TeamLiquid is blue. But it was one of those things where with the Blink, if you're facing a Robo player, you expect to have a faster third Nexus. Well, with both of them going Blink, they probably could have had equally timed Nexus. That didn't really happen. So we do have some better spikes on the income advantage to PartinG, which will reflect a bit in the army supply, but not really enough to say that that's really that different. Being up 450 minerals for not that super long is not too much. And when you talk into how, as you were pointing out, like +2 attacks usually happen. They have to happen basically for PvP. If your opponent's really well set up and doing most of the same thing as you, it's really hard to convince yourself, yeah, I should push into this engagement. But this already, being unscouted, MaNa's not seeing this until the Zealot sees it. His army's got to get into a concave around his third Nexus and be ready to tackle this. And before his +2, get that chrono going, get it going. Also, what happened to charge? Why did you wait?
He just forgot charge. Is actually just maybe going to be, I'm going to say game ending, but it's obviously really bad. I mean, the one positive for MaNa is that he does have a lot of Archons, so they get rid of the Zealots very quickly. And that's exactly what we're seeing so far. I feel like these Stalkers are just kind of clumping up and not doing much at all from PartinG. I don't like this attack in at all. No. MaNa is going to be able to push this back for the moment, I think, in fact, very easily. He keeps all of his Archons alive, his Immortals are still going, and PartinG is losing everything in the process, so it looks really good for MaNa here.
You know, either MaNa... It actually seems almost intentional, because he didn't have a lot of Zealots to even start with. Now, he did warp in Zealots as you would, because you can't take time to warp in Archons, Immortals take a while to produce, but, you know, he did lack charge. For the first fight, it went beautifully without charge. He didn't have that many Zealots to quote-unquote waste anyways, and as you were pointing out, that funnel into the mass Archons that MaNa had was just a disaster for all of PartinG's advantages in his charge lots. So that worked out fine. Yeah. It was like, who needs charge anyways?
PartinG might be the clown, but MaNa's the magician. He just made those Zealots just disappear. And, they just got deleted and everything PartinG had, like you were just about to say, just went like that. And now PartinG is in some trouble because MaNa will try and push across the map. Hopefully won't make a similar kind of play into a choke point or so, but he does have a Prism in his main base. That's something to worry about, but of course he can do so much across the map that I'm not too worried about this. He's going to kill the Prism too, so no further Zealots than what's already here. So MaNa seems to have this under good control. The army going across, this looks really, really good for our Team Liquid player.
Yeah, the Archon count's pretty insane. The Immortal count as well. The charge lots, they can be amazing until the Archon count really starts to up itself. And the Immortals can look weak against the charge lots until they're safely behind the Archons, packing away with their punches. So this army's looking better for MaNa, even though PartinG has an even army supply. Not anymore. 20 down. Popping the Guardian Shield desperately. Also wants his Disruptors out desperately, but those are investments that aren't here right now helping.
Yeah, these Archons and Immortals just going to keep on pressing through as we do have Disruptor showing up. If this Disruptor shot is big into the center of everything, it hits one Immortal, which is not really what you need. I mean, that's not usually bad. It's just you need so much more in this scenario. And MaNa's going to stay 20 supply up, doubling the army supply, pushing through the third base. Obviously, at this stage, all those probes on the third are going to go down. There's another Disruptor showing up, and they can absolutely start to turn this around, but only very slowly and over a long period. And PartinG doesn't have that much time. So MaNa is going to take it. Game number 1. He's going to put himself in the lead of this best of 5.
Well, that's pretty sick. I'm assuming some people might think that's a bit of an upset, but PvP, guys, it's actually not just anyone's game. It's a matchup that I feel like MaNa's style does particularly well in. And he also, a lot of these qualifiers for the Europeans also felt especially grueling testing their PvP mettle. So really nicely done. I think that overall we saw the slight differences being that MaNa just didn't invest into as many Blink Stalkers, was able to, I mean, decision or not, to skip that charge and get another Archon more than his opponent. It just had that better composition, whereas PartinG was going for more the I hope this is an even engagement type. You also have Zealots to my Zealots, or I catch you out in the middle of the map, get a big wraparound. But going into a funnel like that and continuing the engagement too, past the point of realizing, okay, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Just left them too far behind, although Disruptors were a good comeback unit.
Yeah, it was a... the Disruptors, it's like I say, the Disruptors can make that happen if you're up the ramp and your opponent isn't on top of your third base already, right? Because then you can buy time, you can get a few moments here, a few moments there, you can get a couple extra shots off. But when he's already on the third, it doesn't matter what you're picking off. You're already going to lose that third base. You need 10 Disruptor shots to kill everything all at once, and obviously that just was not a thing there. Let's jump into game number 2. We're going into Everdream. What a start for the first Liquid player of the day. Going up 1-0. I'd say a little bit of an underdog against a PartinG who's looked really good lately, obviously, in GSL, etc. So,
yeah. That is a good point. PartinG has, some people might be like, oh, is he still just kind of like a streamer? No, he actually was very strong in his comeback. Probably the strongest player to come back from military service, if I'm not forgetting someone.
Did PartinG do his military service?
You're right. I'm sorry, not military service, but back from a hiatus away from StarCraft.
Yeah, it's a good technicality. just as TLO did us on a technicality as well. I know
Right?
what you're saying. No, I get you.
Thanks, man.
I've never wanted TLO to be more wrong, actually.
And when he says something as a truth.
I just feel as though we got cheated out of being right for once.
I mean, there's that. I feel like that was absolutely a cheat, okay?
Yeah?
That's like, I don't know, that's like your brother turning off the N64 and being, well, technically you didn't win. And you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, and you get into this game number 2. Partin and MaNa. It's going to get kind of exciting because we've got ourselves a forge.
Hey.
And we've got 2 probes coming across the map, so it's cannon rush time here from PartinG.
Yes, it is. Something that MaNa... You know, I was going to say PartinG had an interesting wall off last game, but doesn't matter so much here. He's walling off his opponent's wall off, starting things off suspiciously very quickly. MaNa should be figuring out what's going on just by this happening. It's going to react to his own forge, actually. Now, that's an interesting reaction.
Yeah, the cannons against the cannons. I'm not sure how much I like it because it feels like PartinG's already getting control of this high ground. It's going to be a while before MaNa can get cannons up, and I feel like this... I'm just going to be honest, I just don't really like it. I just don't feel like there's that much possibility here. Obviously, there's a lot of... a big mess as to what is what, but the cannons on the low ground about to finish. PartinG's going to help get some probes with his own probes, and these cannons are absolutely... At least one of them's going to get up, right? Is the Zealot going to be able to save that?
He actually might be able to stop that second cannon.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then his 2 cannons will be up. It's very possible that MaNa expected something like this. They've known about their opponent for a little while now and was like, what is the best way to stop PartinG's cannon rush, especially? Because usually we see a second gateway farther away, desperately trying to get to shield batteries and stalkers. But his own cannons, is this actually the right call? 2 cannons to 1 right now. The Zealot not even being focus fired, so it could come back later, perhaps. 1 cannon still very healthy. Probes going down. They're being targeted by MaNa. Every time they try and come forward, the gateway will fall, but MaNa's cannons aren't going to be enough.
Well, he's going to get a cannon in a moment, so it's going to be 2-on-1. The tables are going to turn here, right? But then MaNa has another cannon coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wow. He's barely going to be able to do this, I think. Barely.
Yeah? I think so.
The Zealot could also try and help out in the bottom left because it didn't die. It got so close to dying, but now it's going to be helpful.
Wow, what a response from MaNa. He's going to take game number 2, I think, at this point. What does PartinG really have left? 2 low ground cannons that are powered by this 1 pylon on the high ground that's about to go down. Pylon has to cancel. He's got no power. The only good thing here is obviously MaNa did lose his gateway, so he doesn't really have much right now. But even his rebuilding gateway is faster than PartinG's gateway back at home.
Exactly. That's what I was going to point out. He's up in workers. He has a bit of a faster gateway, which means a bit of a faster 7X core, which means faster technology. You get the gist. It's pretty good to have. And of course, he's defended against any further cannons. He's going to wall off again in case the deaths become an issue, as they typically do in PvP. And this was really nice. I actually feel so strong that MaNa specifically prepared for this. But it's also something about PartinG's cannon rush. You know, sometimes you get people who try and hide it. And if they try and hide it, you know, or trying to be like, oh, am I going to do it? Am I not? Then maybe that forge doesn't come down. It's a more classic response that we typically see, and that might have been a lot worse. But he quickly figured out, no, that's definitely real. And if this pylon gets up, that's on MaNa.
Yeah, I mean, he might not think about it, though. Is this probe? Surely this probe's not going to show now. It's going to turn back around. Maybe MaNa should just check, right, as a possibility, something you got to think about. This probe is very much so locked in there. MaNa is not going to check for it yet, as PartinG goes up into a second gate.
MaNa, please. If he doesn't find it, then I feel like that's PartinG at flopping the toilet console.
Can I just say we're one gateway away from PartinG from having a wrong TLO. So just some excitement.
I was wondering where you were going with that. Oh, what a sentence. I'm
very invested in this true or false now, ZG.
Right? Yeah. Geez.
You know, before it was all fun and games, and now we're getting down to the nitty gritty, you know, ruling of it all. I'm invested.
Well, I guess it makes sense that he wouldn't throw down anything suspicious since he didn't have anything to kill any scouting probes. MaNa did send one across the map. That was nice. It is a second gateway. Now a third gateway.
TLO's wrong.
All in base. They're all in base, you guys.
They're all in base. The pylon's out of base from PartinG, but that doesn't count. He's going to go up to 4 gates, which I think is kind of expected here, given the situation and the fact he's got a pylon in MaNa's main.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for the surprise DTs, but I think the 4-gate makes even more sense. And this is so funny, too, because I think many people's first experience with parting back in, like, 2011, probably, would have been watching him 4-gate on, Metropolis or Metalopolis. I always get those two confused. But you know what I'm talking about. Back in the gas geysers were hiding the smoke, was hiding the pylon.
Yeah.
God, it's happening again without the smoke screen. 4-gate to win. It's parting's only hope. Now, will it actually work? I don't think so, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's gonna be a question because he's about to be up against an immortal of MaNa, right? And I feel like a second immortal. Yeah. I just feel like parting's too far behind to make it work. Like it's great that this is happening, but it's just how do you break 2 immortals with pure stalkers with no real micro potential? I mean, yeah, I don't see it. Maybe the only way I would say is maybe if you can force field the ramp, but you can't even force field the ramp because the cannons are going to stop a sentry getting in range of the ramp. So
yeah, it might get 1 force field off, but War Prison's on the way anyways. A recall would be available too. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't see anything.
very, very little hope here as parting is going to try and make something happen. Stalkers are going to show up. A couple of probes already going down. This stalker gets picked off. Now going to be seeing the other stalker picked off as well. And we're going to be seeing the parting army is, well, doing its best, absolutely, but sometimes your best is not good enough, CG.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is. Parting has some good micro, so popping the shields and the immortals and then constantly threatening the War Prism from microing, like, it's all good ideas, but it's not just 2 immortals with a third on the way. It's also like 2 cannons, which is surprisingly annoying to have.
Yeah.
A couple force fields could also help out, as he is a bit sentry heavy here.
Just as you say it, those force fields going to cut this in half a bit. Means the stalker that's in front can't back away. Oh, and another set of force fields. Now these immortals on top of the stalkers, and they're all going to go down, and our Team Liquid player is going to take a 2-0 lead.
MaNa, one of the oldest players here as well. Very experienced with TSL, having played in the Brood War ones. Might just have the Team Liquid magic.
Yeah.
For this TSL 5. Obviously, was well prepared. Apparently, that was the exact right thing to do. Going for his own forge, barely get his own cannons in time, and now he's up 2-0 against parting, who is shenanigans have not worked. It's not GSL, man.
No, they have not. I mean, it was a good attempt as well, but MaNa did not hesitate at all building that forge. He got the right amount of cannons up, and parting just was always a cannon behind in that cannon rush, basically. So was not able to really break through. And that gives MaNa the 2-0 lead. And in PvP, a 2-0 lead is super dangerous because now you're just one bad proxy away from this all going wrong for parting, right? Because, you know, this could absolutely be a 3-0. I mean, MaNa gets a proxy, gets a little bit of a build order advantage or something. There's a few ways to look at this. So as parting gets into the lobby, we're going into Nightshade. We'll see what the two of them have planned for us here.
You know, my prediction was that parting would win with a 3-2. Which I guess could still technically happen. But I did have him losing to the next round opponent, Showtime, I believe, thinking that the PvP would eventually get to him. But apparently it's MaNa who's actually going to get him first. So I'm down lower bracket. That'd be pretty sick. MaNa has been certainly looking for that same high as he had now 2 years ago at this point at Austin, right?
Yeah.
Not quite able to achieve that again, but still performing well online, doing well in the qualifiers. And as I mentioned, like a lot about that PvP, Europe has become so PvP centric, it feels. Like I know like European Zergs are still like the phrase, but I don't know. I feel like it's all PvP is what I cast.
There's a lot of PvP lately. It's like the Zergs have like disappeared a little bit, and now there's a lot of Protoss players.
Yeah. Well, that and I'm giving preference to the big community caster Wardy, so I get all the leftovers like the PvPs.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually I don't see many PvP at all. Yeah.
Okay, well there's the truth.
What can I say? I just take all the good games, CG. I'm a monopoly on the non-PvP matchups.
You do though, you do. Well, we managed to get away without doing intros last game. But I think our observer wants us to do them this time. The top left, up 2-0. This view is really getting to me. There we go. It is Liquid MaNa.
Up against the blue Protoss in the bottom right-hand side, we do have PartinG.
Introducing a Nexus sideways did not feel right.
You just put you off. Your cast defenses just weren't there.
It really did. It really did. Imagine casting a game just with like everything's 90 degrees off. I think it would really
remember when there's a bug that you could get stuck at the 90-degree angle?
Yeah, you had to go to a different observer to fix it. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember it happened to Snoot once. Talking of Liquid players, it happened to Snoot once in a game because he rotated his camera to be able to target the SCV on the bunker, and his camera got stuck. And even when they resumed from replay, it resumed from replay because he went on with it for like 20 seconds or so because it was like too intense. Then he paused, but they couldn't resume from replay or something because it would just go back to the same situation as that probe. Didn't see the other probe. Oof.
I was gonna guess that MaNa would proxy if you have up being 2-0. Too bad I didn't say it. Then I'd look really smart. But here it is, proxy robo. Not really in proxy so much as just hidden. That's the priority here, but it is going to be certainly aggressive. But I remember that game. I do remember what you were talking about, and he just had to play with it too. But
yeah.
Snoot was one of those madmen who like not only did that, played through that, but he also like him and Bunny did a best of 69 where they both macroed every game, and you're like, why would you do that?
Yeah, that was a good one as well.
Mm-hmm.
In fairness, there was some fun maps in there though, at least.
Yeah, we we accidentally put a broken one in. Not like it was like a training one or something. Reminded you every minute to build. I don't remember what it was.
I remember the one where you lost if you got supply blocked, and Bunny like massed Vikings to try and kill the Overlord to Snoot, and then it was scouted at the last second. That was also a really good moment.
Yeah, man, so many good times in the history of StarCraft. But all right, Liquid MaNa looking for the quick 3-0, the kill here. He is checking around for his opponent's pylon as he saw a lacking one, but he's not gonna be able to find it. So it's a little, concerning. But even if it was offensive, he also has his own production up and ready to go.
This is kind of bad for PartinG. Like, why has he got a Nexus? Yeah, like
PvP questions.
I feel like PartinG has played a very interesting series here because the first game was weird, but it didn't look weird because they both just expanded again, right? But now PartinG is just playing like nice macro PvP. Meanwhile, there's a proxied robo. He's about to scout, by the way. This hallucination goes straight over it. So now PartinG knows. Does he cancel the Nexus? Is he going to try and keep it?
Oh wow!
No,
really?
He's going to try and keep it. Wow. That's
clever pylon location, so he'll have one shield battery, but that's pretty far away. I mean, he's also gonna have a lot of his force field, so I doubt he'll be pushed away from his own shield batteries, plural. But what a decision. Very good thing that he did scout it, though. Any scouting warning at all. But MaNa is ready. He's got a warp prism. Micro's gonna be on his side. Let's see how the force fields can handle this. Already almost losing a stalker.
They're good force fields. It's just there's a warp prism there, so the micro is obviously very good. I think PartinG's chance is to get his own Immortal and maybe just his own warp prism to try and somehow out micro MaNa. MaNa's going to go for playing to the main base. We're going to be seeing PartinG almost just walled himself out and trying to block the Adepts. And that's going to be MaNa just being handled at the moment. The Immortal does a bit of a squeeze past the force field there, and we'll get back down to the low ground. But the threat of just dropping into the main is huge. Looks like PartinG will just go for another Immortal and just go for pure firepower here. And maybe just hope his force fields can do enough to help. MaNa is momentarily supply blocked, so little things can go a long way.
Yeah, really important that that Immortal was like underneath the force fields. That was weird. But yeah, really important the force field didn't actually hit correctly in that main base, I think. That might have been an opportunity to actually start shaving off units while the Immortal was stuck, but now it was, pure army to pure army. There wasn't a whole lot to dissect there, and very similar armies at that. The second Warp Prism. Second Immortal and then a Warp Prism. It is truly the same army. MaNa's going to continue on with the game, however. No reason to tap out. He's going to out of Robotics Bay, get into some disruptors, and continue trying to control the game with that Warp Prism. But I doubt it'll get too much.
What this entire PvP series is now turned into a bit of a, as described, a circus, right? A Nexus defending against the proxy robo. I mean, it's not over yet, don't get me wrong, but the army supplies are even. And that alone is obviously something to be concerned about as MaNa here. You're still on one base. Like you mentioned, he's added that robo bay, he's getting a disruptor. Obviously, one disruptor hit can change the entirety of this game. You know, you get onto all the sentries, or you get onto defense. Even if you hit the immortal barriers off, that's big. But right now, I see a fight breaking out. Force fields will pretty much mean that both players don't really disengage, but there's not really going to be anything properly picked off there.
Nice read by PartinG. You know, MaNa had shown that he was harassing with the immortals, so the natural, and he was like, oh, so where's your army? And MaNa was not quite paying attention, but decent enough response. His Prism was close enough, so not determined there, but PartinG still has 6-worker lead and a natural nexus. It really is about the disruptors doing some damage, of which there is, I thought there was one out there. It is now. Can it hit all those sentries? Okay, a pre-split. What's it going to target? The immortal
really
sentries.
He's going to die. He just put his disruptor so far forward there, but he does get one of the immortals of PartinG. It goes down very quickly. So that's a benefit, but I think now without the disruptor, there's just the unit count here for PartinG anyways. He's continuing dropping force field after force field, and he'll press forwards. He feels confident just to keep coming in. Obviously, his own prism to add to the micro. And yeah, losing the disruptor without doing anything, that's just not good enough. And now we've got a new disruptor showing up, but maybe a bit too late. Let's see what it connects on. A couple of units that just didn't quite make it into the prism.
Yeah, that disruptor, you know, surprise, your microing can sometimes be a big difference, but nope, PartinG was on top of it enough. And with 3 immortals to 2, MaNa needs to do some economic damage and then some. He actually needs to get his disruptor to get a big hit, and well, that can't happen if it's dead.
Yep, just got chased down, and PartinG just, it's crazy. I just can't believe PartinG has just consistently felt like he's had more units here in this game. It's definitely been a bit of a shock as we see these 2 immortals coming in. They will get that stalker, and there's a zealot there still fighting. Immortal dropping down a bit of dancing here, but well, MaNa has to be careful not to lose the prism. Obviously, it's one hit or so.
Oh my god, it's gonna die.
GG. Yeah, just flies it in. Prism falls. GG. I mean, it was more or less going to be a GG nonetheless, but PartinG was not really ready for that, and then he still made it work anyways, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah,
I don't really know how to quite summarize that PvP, ZG.
I think the mental preparation is really important, but he did already have 1 shield battery that was in place, even if his units got force fielded forward, which I think is really important. You know, it's certainly one of those snowball things. I mean, it's a powerful build. You know, there's a reason that it was a bit of a meme even for a little while. You weren't robo proxying, you weren't winning PvP. But the reason it's generally a good build is that sometimes it works because you get a snowball. You immediately jump on top of the army and they're like, oh, didn't know. Or it can actually like outmaneuver. We saw with the Adepts. Some people don't have that probe micro on top of that ramp. They don't account for the elevator. But PartinG took account of everything because he had even the slightest advance notice, I feel. You know, that probe there also probably because he had time to think, okay, how do I defend this? Second shield battery. And then I guess for me, the most important thing I feel is like those force fields, which we know PartinG is very good with force fields. The army supplies can be even like an immortal in favor of the defender because it gets there faster type thing, something like that. And a couple of good force fields can change the game because you slice off an immortal and they don't. But PartinG's force fields, I don't know if you can actually ever say that you're going to have better force fields than PartinG, actually. He's just so well known for it. He's
famous for it. I also feel like maybe did MaNa just wait too long? Because I feel like it's one of those builds where if he actually goes with the first immortal right away, like maybe then he's able to just actually win out and play his advantage better based on what PartinG is doing. A few things to keep in mind. Going into a game 4, we've had a crazy PvP so far, and finally a series that's not a 3-0 as well. How about that as we start off in the top left with the player who's able to take a map in the blue. This is PartinG.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is TeamLiquid's MaNa. Darn. I was hoping that he would show PartinG how a cannon rush was done.
This is how you cannon, my friend.
Yeah. Although, if I do think of MaNa's PvPs, I don't see too many cannon rushes. He is more of a proxy robo guy if he's gonna really highlight the cheese.
Yeah, he actually really loves that proxy robo. He's been doing it, I'd say, almost every PvP series he's played at least once for the last month. That I've seen at least.
No, I think that's actually a very good guess.
Yeah.
And then there's been certainly a couple PvPs where that's like literally all he's done. So he's been looking really well. I would say that MaNa's biggest weakness for me is his PvT. Even his PvZ can look kind of brutal. He does the Adept build a lot in the DTs and seems to make it work even when people expect it. So, I looked at a PvP bracket and I was like, oh, okay, this is doable for him. And then meeting into eventual Zerg, I was like, okay, that's doable for him too. But any of these like monster Terrans, that's where I really get concerned for MaNa. For PartinG, actually, I think that might be the same thing. What do you think? What's PartinG's greatest weakness?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that he's doing so well. I don't want to say that obviously he has weaker matchups than others, but I would have said his PvZ initially, but his GSL, I mean, that just, I don't question his PvZ anymore. So, yeah, I guess overall I feel more confident about PartinG making it through, but MaNa might just have the TeamLiquid luck we talked about earlier. One game where you try to get it over quick, going poorly doesn't reflect the entire series.
I'm just trying to think what PartinG's weakness is, and I feel like PartinG's own weakness is sometimes he just doesn't play as well as he can. I know that's a bit crazy. Like, obviously that's everyone's weakness, right? But I don't think there's one matchup where you're like, oh, PartinG, you really suck here. Maybe, his PvT, because he's very like aggressive on Blink and he relies on that Blink aggression a lot, but I wouldn't say
it works.
But he's so good at it that it still works. Yeah, exactly right. So is that really counted as a weakness? I wouldn't really say so.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If he was doing Patience Blinks, then it's probably his weakest matchup, but nope, he's pretty good. Have a big difference in tech. Got a Stargate coming out for PartinG, and that is in proxy. So far, he's not used his proxy pylons to do anything. So to change it up here for a bit of harassment, still going into the Nexus. MaNa, he looks like he's not going to slap down a shield battery in time. I mean, especially because it is also proxied, and he doesn't have a well, actually would, but yeah, he's just not going to slap it down. So this could be damage. Stalkers do go into the main. That should mean not a whole lot. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you can still get like a couple of workers, but you want to keep the Oracle alive. So get in, a couple of workers, get out. And it does mean that, a couple of Stalkers are kept in that main base. You can't do much elsewhere as MaNa, because he is just going to drop the Twilight Council down. And that's going to be kind of important to keep in mind, especially if he goes Blink here with that Twilight, is that you want to keep this Oracle alive as PartinG because you want to keep MaNa having a couple of Stalkers at home. Because if you can keep a Stalker or two in the natural and a Stalker or two in the main, that's 4 less Stalkers you have to deal with coming across the map with Blink. When you aren't going to be playing Blink yourself, you're just relying on the Immortal number to kind of defend against those Stalkers. So that's going to be pretty big, and PartinG, I think, is right just to back away here, not commit in too hard, spin around, go a different direction. He does have another Oracle. MaNa sees that as well. And he's just going to drop a Revelation or so for the moment. Yeah, you can already see that MaNa has to keep his units split up between the bases. And that just means, obviously, there's no Blink yet. But further down the line, if that continues to be the scenario, then that is a bit of a problem with trying to get aggressive.
I really like MaNa's situation in this game, and not just because he didn't take any damage from the Oracles. Eventually, they'll probably find something, at least a stasis trap somewhere. But his answer going to Blink immediately upon figuring out what was happening, the continued scouting, he did find the Stargate to confirm the second Oracle, no random Phoenix play either type thing. I don't know. I think it's going to work out really well. 2 Oracles will bypass their shield batteries, so eventually, as you were describing there, you can't just depend on that. But if he's going to grab 1 Oracle and then potentially the second, and have the Blink to provide the pressure onto PartinG, like he could get a much stronger economy. He's actually been chronoing his probes more than his Blink, which is probably reason he doesn't have it yet. And that's kept him even with PartinG, who does. The good news for PartinG, we're talking a lot about MaNa, but the good news for PartinG is that even those Oracles didn't do a whole lot, they are providing all the information is saying, okay, you're not attacking me. You're taking this third base at that time, that type of stuff. So he does have a worker lead, has had a worker lead. But I think MaNa can do something with this Blink. And I'm just waiting on what that is.
Yeah. I mean, 4 extra gates, right? So he's definitely building up into it. No Forge or any sort of setup that sort of says, hey, let's go into the future of this game. He's trying to Chrono Boost out of Warp Prism, but unfortunately it was supply blocked. So that doesn't work so well, but he will get it Prism. So it definitely seems like he just wants to go very aggressive. He has the 4 sentries. I mean, that's just a MaNa special, right? The sentries in the Prism, you blink, you force field the ramp, you blink up into the main. MaNa has loved that play. He's loved it for a long time. Huge scout for PartinG, though. Gets to see all the gates, and if he gets in the main as well, he sees no Forge. I mean, there's a lot of info there from PartinG to pick up on. So think he should be somewhat ready for this. Shouldn't be kind of caught off guard being too greedy. His probe count a bit higher now. But obviously, he's kind of going to cut probes at this point anyways.
Right, I mean, he's going to be stuck on 2 bases for a little while. For MaNa, he could do this aggression and then go into a 3rd Nexus and still have a decent economy. But yeah, you point out that Forge, one of the big signifiers that your opponent's going to attack you. No dedication to the future. He'll always be down that upgrade. But if he goes into like disruptors after this, like maybe that will negate it, the necessity of it, or simply if he does a lot of damage with this push, which could still happen, even though, yes, I think PartinG is pretty darn well set up for this. Observer sees the army movement. Gotta figure that's going into the main base, but the sentries are there. They're locked and loaded, and they're about to hit. The sentries, though, oh, shoot. The stalkers are what stasis trap. The sentries actually still get to do their thing and block out a lot of those immortals.
Yeah, this is where you've got to make a decision as part of what you do. Oh, he doesn't get another force field down. Okay, but now he gets in. It's still cutting this army in half. So this Immortal's in trouble. MaNa's definitely looking like this has started off well for him. And you kill this pile and you unpower 2 gateways as well, so less production. Now he's getting the Archons up, right? So now you can break through those force fields. So this is going to be less of an issue now, but there's so many Stalkers here. He needs to bring this Archon back. Does break it down. But yeah, the position for PartinG, he's dying to his own SimCity, actually, as he tries to get through a game, but he just can't fight through that choke point into this.
Yeah, he did grab the Sentry with most of the force field energy, so unfortunately he couldn't continue the block on the natural, but also not any Guardian Shields involved. It is just pure numbers. The numbers of Stalkers versus the superiority of the army type of PartinG. MaNa actually thinks he has enough Stalkers to blink in aggressively on top of the Immortals. He grabs every single one, but he was also on top of the Archons for an extended period of time. Lots of splash going on in the Stalkers, but the Zealot reinforcements, the focus fire, the blink back, the depowering of PartinG's gateways. That actually might be enough. He might have just done it here. He blinks aggressively again, and will take another Archon at the cost of quite a few Stalkers.
Yeah, the Zealots are obviously big in both the mineral line of PartinG and also on top of these Stalkers. You're blinking on top of Zealots, it's not great for you. Stasis catches a few Zealots with MaNa, and that might buy PartinG in a few moments, but I'm not sure if he really has time to get up what he needs. This Oracle gets an extra Stalker too. He's going to pull off a defense here, ZG.
Wow.
If only just. He comes out equal on workers, more or less. Still down in army supply. And up an attack upgrade, but MaNa already has the next warp in ready, and PartinG does not. And of course, PartinG's like, well, what do I warp in? Do I warp in Zealots? Do I warp in Stalkers? He doesn't have time to make Archons. So he's not having a great time here. I think he's got enough Zealots to hold this off. Yeah, the Stalkers can kite, but I think he's got enough time to get an Archon or so up and get a new Immortal up now. PartinG might have just about held.
Well, it is that question of what type will hold, you know, because the Zealots can be kited, because they will continue to... They'll never fully push the Blink Stalkers back. I mean, even if there were Immortals and Archons, they'll never fully do it because Blink Stalkers have more micro potential. And the army type, as good as it can get, as good as an, you know what, F it, I'm just going to go across the map, can be with PartinG's army, that's if you have the Immortals. That's if you have the Archons, which he's struggling to get up again. He does have a super gas bank, but I guess just focusing on the Zealots to try and take out whatever Stalkers he can. He actually chases these Stalkers all the way to his 3rd base, so the Warp Prism gets into the main. MaNa will take that, he'll accept it, and he'll just run away with both the harassment and his Stalkers, but now he needs to warp him back at home.
Yeah, it's a little bit concerned, right, if these Zealots continue to come across, because while the Stalkers can kite and move away, eventually if these Zealots are on top of your Nexus, for example, you're going to take a lot of worker damage or so, or you're going to lose a Nexus, and that's when those Zealots started to do very, very well. Now, MaNa did build up his own charge behind this, so he is ready with charge. He's still just playing on no upgrades, on no +1 though, right? And that's a huge advantage for PartinG, as PartinG takes an army supply lead and now has Archons in this army, still has some more money to spend as well. And like you said, if he spends that money, he's going to have an extra Archon or 2, and that's going to be really powerful in the army. And MaNa's army isn't really like super Stalker heavy anymore, so you're not even super reliant on a higher Immortal count, really. You know, you can actually play just Zealot Archon pretty successfully here now, I think. So like, it does feel like it's turned towards PartinG.
Well, PartinG is taking a little while. You know, I'm like, it's hard to call, and I'm like totally with you in your description of the game. But it's also one of those things where MaNa, yeah, he was pushed back to the other side of the map, which I thought was going to take a little more effort, even finding an Archon, maybe. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
He was pushed across the map. He lost his scouting. He lost his ability to constantly pick off those Zealots. He's back on top of it, though, because PartinG, despite Chrono got a Warp Prism, didn't actually immediately come across the map. So now we're talking about an upgrade disadvantage, but where MaNa has been working on a third base for a little while, he's starting to really reap the rewards of his economy, and he's going to have that defender's advantage. So it really is that question of +1 or whatever MaNa has set up defensively. So, slightly quicker warp-ins perhaps, shield batteries are done, his army type might be a little bit different. What's going to work out here? The Stalkers lose sight of the army, and that means they're also not involved in the fight, and they're also not positioning his army correctly. PartinG actually completely evades notice and already into the natural, going to get a big concave opportunity on top of MaNa, which I just don't think was supposed to happen. MaNa's supposed to be able to see this and try and hold it off, or at least get a good position against it.
Yeah, and MaNa doesn't really have anything great right here. I mean, he's going to blink in and get the Prism. That's huge. Some extra Zealots already showing up from PartinG. But the Prism going down is big. Obviously, you're still playing with a lack of an upgrade here as MaNa, these probes, taking some hefty damage as well. Yeah, MaNa now is going to get some extra Zealots here, and PartinG just has to stay and fight as best as he can. He's got some Zealots that did make it to the natural, but he's going to lose pretty much everything else. And this attack did not work out. The shield batteries kept MaNa alive long enough. Look how low health some of MaNa's Archons are. Those shields are pretty much gone. Archons don't have health past the shields. So even if you get those couple extra Archons, the difference that makes is huge. But now it feels like MaNa has held the counter, and now he's going to have +1 of his own for his own counter. And that should maybe be unholdable for PartinG, because what does PartinG have in favor over MaNa there? MaNa had maybe a bit of a deficit on the upgrades that time, maybe the concave, but I find it hard to believe PartinG's going to hold this when he's sitting at 3 Archons against 6. At least MaNa's Archon count was equal last time, and that's a big part of these PvP fights.
That was a really good hold. I really thought the Stalkers being out of position was potentially the game over moment, but coming back to take out that Warp Prism was pretty clutch. As you said, the army just looks unbeatable for MaNa as he has the upgrades. He's got his own Warp Prism and microwave. He's got a decent concave. He's moving into PartinG's natural, even an Archon reinforcing from left field. And MaNa, all of his Archons are actually still pretty darn healthy too. He is absolutely going to take this fight and going to 3-1 PartinG. GG indeed. MaNa with a bit of the upset. Consider how well PartinG's been doing, how much his style can appeal to PvP, and MaNa just did better today.
That's a result. That is a hell of a result. That's I feel like for me this is the first real upset of the bracket for DOG taking down Solo. I think that's an upset, definitely, but I think this is a real upset because I know it's PvP. But PartinG has looked so good lately across all the matchups. I don't think there's been one thing in particular that's been bad for him. And then he just shows up here and he's just like, he kind of looked bad in the first couple of games, right? And yeah, he just looked kind of off in all the games, I would say, actually, because I even feel like in the third game he's very unaware of what's going on. I feel like maybe MaNa's decisions there weren't the best given the situation. And then the fourth game is, again, he just doesn't really know what's up. He doesn't know what's happening. He's caught in all of the bad spots. This did not feel like a PartinG that we're used to seeing.
That's a good point. It didn't feel like tip-top potential GSL finalist type PartinG that he's been showing. Exactly. He's been showing elsewhere. That could be maybe the server, could be just that MaNa is so much more used to online, although PartinG does play online across server quite a bit, or just simply it wasn't his day. That can happen. But It was certainly MaNa's day. Congratulations to MaNa for advancing forward in the winner's bracket. PartinG moves to the lower, so he's not out yet, guys.
We stand as one. Are you gonna give me orders?